This is like if a full-on downhill bike and a dirt jumper had a kid. It like literally has a downhill.
Yeah.
It's insane. I like it.
Immediately, I'm a little biased. I'm like, oh, that looks like fun.
He uses this bike for sure.
This definitely has to go. Hold my beer. So over the last 2 weeks, you all have been sending us in your bikes. We've received dozens of bikes, and it's been awesome to just see those come through. Thank you to our subscribers, and keep those coming because who knows, maybe this will be a series.
Sure, this is popular. We'll do it again.
So we've chosen 10 different bikes from those of you who have submitted. I have not seen any of the bikes that Josh has on the list yet, although I know already that there's a few of our friends' bikes, so I've probably seen a few in the flesh. But all the other bikes, starting fresh and just getting our honest opinion.
You're getting Wendy's first reaction on these bikes.
We have chosen 3 categories. So our first category is hold my beer. Like this bike right now I need to take out. I've had a beer, but I'm setting it aside. Somebody else hold it because I'm getting on it right now. The second category is nice and niche, right? It's like a cool bike, but it's maybe a little bit more of a niche bike. It's not one that we would necessarily subscribe to, but it's pretty freaking sweet. And then the final category, yeah man. Right, you get it.
So let's jump into our first bike.
Right.
Let's do it. This one actually is one of the few that comes from somebody we know personally. Brie Asseltine and her Santa Cruz V10. It's pretty freaking sweet. Little background on this bike, Wendy. It's been raced in the US Open of mountain biking. That's sick. It's a 2020 model. She's got a Fox factory fork up front, the Fox 40 factory with 203 millimeters of suspension, 215 millimeters of suspension in the back. Puts it at a 63.7 degree head tube angle, but the chain stays are still pretty short at 430 millimeters, so it's a great bike park bike too. And then she's got the tried and true Maxxis speedy tires on there.
Love it. I love the coil shock back there. And then, you know, I mean, I'm a sucker for that big gold.
You love the Kashima.
I really can't get enough of the Kashima. Even before I knew that Kashima was at the top of the line. You know, I'm not a girl who's really into jewelry or gold, but that gold, I could get behind.
Yeah, I don't think there's ever any question of where this bike was gonna go.
This definitely has to go. Hold my beer, because I'm about to get on this bike right now.
Brie, next time we hang out, bring your V10. We're gonna ride it.
We're gonna see you at Sea Otter, so maybe we should collab then.
True. All right, so that bike, spoiler, has the most travel of any bike on our list. Nothing is gonna top more than 200 millimeters front and back. So I decided our second bike should be the bike with the least amount of travel. And this has got 0 millimeters of travel front and back. This one comes from John, AKA Puffin Pass.
Puffin Pass.
I'm a Passers kid. The first time I read that, I read like Puffin, like the little penguin thing. And then I was like, I don't think that's what he's talking about. But this is John's 2020 Salsa Cutthroat. As you can see, it's a gravel bike, but it's actually pretty sick. He's managed to fit, he has the same tires that I do, those Borneotrack XR4s. He has a 2.6 inch tire up front and a 2.4 inch tire in the back. So like full on mountain bike tires. Fully rigid, 11 speed drivetrain. Drop bars, like road bike bars.
Okay, but he runs a dropper post in this?
He runs a dropper post, yeah. And it's got a 69 degree head tube angle, which is slacker than my dad's full suspension mountain bike.
Okay.
So it could still get some stuff done.
I'm just saying, I kind of dig it. Like, it's definitely not the like, yeah man bike. It's kind of more of my nice and neat.
I would say definitely, right? Yeah. And he says that he's planning on getting a hardtail after, I'm guessing maybe he came from road biking. He's planning on getting a hardtail, but that he's enjoyed it. Obviously, it's a pretty forward body position with that steep head tube and the drop bars, but he said other than some like tight cornering and jumping, it's felt pretty good.
I rode with a girl this summer that had kind of a similar bike, and she was treading on Snow Summit, you know, at the bike park.
Lift access on a gravel bike.
Right. It's like, that's unheard of, but she was doing it. I mean, she was doing it. So I feel like this, John, I would totally hang out with you. Just face on your bike.
All right, so nice and niche then, huh?
Nice and niche.
Nice and niche, yeah. Thank you, John, for sending it in.
Salsa.
All right, next up we have one from my new internet friend, Josh. Josh, I'm gonna try to say your last name. DeGerles?
It's probably like French.
It's French. I'm just gonna say Josh from now on. Josh has been a fan of the channel for a while. It's a cool last name. And he's got a cool bike. It is the On One Hello Dave, which is, spoiler, you're gonna look at in a second, one of the most aggressive hardtails on the market.
Ooh.
I thought you liked the saddle.
Look at
right
the
off
saddle.
the bat.
I immediately saw the saddle.
Yeah.
And I like the color. It's just a solid black. It's sleek.
It is. So this thing it's a steel frame. It has a 62-degree head tube angle. That makes it just about as slack as Brie's V10. I've said that about this bike in other videos, that I wouldn't recommend it as your only bike, but if it's just a pure, like, straight down the steep stuff shred sled, then it's not bad. It's also got ridiculously long chain stays, so 458 millimeters. It's not your playful hardtail at all. He's got a 160 millimeter fork up front, SRAM GX drivetrain, that beautiful Chromax saddle, and Minion tires.
Wow.
Front back.
Now, I will say, usually I like a frame to be a little burlier, even on a hardtail. I am more the full squish girl, but I feel like that's my one thing, is it's a little too skinny, this frame. That's just, you know, a personal preference. But with that saddle, I mean, those aggressive tires, the fork, you can tell that thing can do some damage. This has got to kind of be your vote at the end of the day.
I mean, here's the thing with this bike. I want to ride it. I don't think I'd ever want to own it.
Okay.
So I feel like that maybe puts it in that niche category.
It's either niche or it's like a, yeah, man, hard respect, you know?
Nah, I feel like it's above, yeah.
All right.
It's a sick bike. It's a sick bike, but it's
clearly,
very niche.
It's clearly been invested in
a
lot of those parts, you know.
All built up. He built this thing up custom from the frame, so all parts he's chosen.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Nice. Thank you, Josh, for sending that in. All right. Bike number 4 comes from Christian. When he told me about this bike on YouTube in the comments, he described it as the hardtail from hell.
Ooh, in
Yeah.
a good way, or?
Well, you're about to see. This is the Dartmoor Hornet, is the frame of this bike. But he's gone ahead and added a motor to this thing. It's a, I don't know anything about e-bike motors. Yeah, we'll get to that.
Okay.
It's a Hermes Paradox Kinetics motor. Makes 1500 watts. It has a 52-volt battery. The motor has a top speed of 40 miles an hour.
Oh, wow.
And then to protect not only his motor, but I guess apparently his butt while he's riding, he's gone ahead and cut up some old tire to use as fenders for his seat and his motor.
Oh my gosh. I don't know how to feel about this right now. I appreciate that these pictures, it's covered in mud.
Yeah.
So immediately I'm a little biased. I'm like, oh, that looks like fun.
He uses this bike for sure.
But I felt like right away, like with that wheel, with the wheel, or that tire underneath, it was like, is he just somehow rolling on the bottom of the frame? Or
I don't even know. And he's got, this thing has a 170 millimeter coil sprung fork.
Oh, dang.
So this is like full on. I mean, I'm looking at this and I'm like, it's like, is it a dirt bike? Like the weird fender in the back? I don't know, but it's something.
I mean, it's gotta be niche, right?
Yeah.
Like this is the most niche I've ever seen. And I appreciate that it is definitely what he's invested in. 40 miles per hour.
Can you imagine that?
It's definitely something that just feels tactile, like I just want to touch it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's definitely, it'd be an experience to ride.
Yeah.
But we'll call this nice and niche.
Thanks, Christian. Cool bike.
Dude, yeah. Next bike, probably the newest bike on our list, comes from Trevor Manning. It's the Forbidden Dreadnought. It is Forbidden makes a lot of high pivot bikes. If you're not familiar with that, essentially that allows your suspension, your rear suspension to work a little bit better as you're tracking over rocks because the back wheel will move backwards, and it's pretty trendy right now. A lot of brands are doing it. It's got 170 millimeters of travel up front. That's in the form of a RockShox Zeb, and 154 millimeters in the back. Got a 65.5 degree head tube angle with 450 millimeter chain stays. He just got this bike, he was saying like a few months ago, barely even taken out any rides yet.
I was gonna say, it looks like maybe he, put aside the renovations on the home so that he could get the bike. But I totally appreciate that. I'm definitely...
Dude, priorities.
Right?
Yeah. He's also got a downhill bike. He's got a YT2s,
YT.
which chose not to include in this one, but so he's got quite a little fleet there.
Yeah. It's kind of a bike I would want to ride too. Like I'm intrigued, but I'm kind of like, yeah, man. Right?
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's pretty stock, that's one thing too. He hasn't done too much to it yet. It's brand new. Has some serious potential there, Trevor.
Yeah, and I just saw a little glimpse of that YT, with that big.
Yeah, as soon as Wendy saw the YT, she was like,
let's talk about that one.
So if we do another video, we'll get some more downhill bikes on here. All right, we were halfway through the list. We started out the list with my assumption of what would be your favorite bike.
Okay.
This is probably one of mine. This one belongs to Caleb Backen. It's a 2021 Kona Honzo ESD. But what Caleb has done with this bike is essentially what I would do. So one of my biggest quips with this Kona Honzo ESD is it's got like a 63-degree head tube angle. So super slack. I think that's slacker than you really need for a hardtail. Well, he's actually gone ahead and put a angle set headset in there to steepen it up by 2 degrees. So it's now 65 degrees. So it's gonna be a little bit more agile, a little bit better for like the jibby kind of like dirt jump style riding that I like to do, and it sounds like Caleb likes to do too. The other thing that he's done is he's built it up from the frame. So Kona sells these bikes for a little over $3,000, which I think is a little steep. But the frame's just $650, and you guys have seen the video that I did on like the top 5 value or places to save money on your mountain bike. Some of the things I said to save money on were not getting like the highest end drivetrain or the highest end fork. And that's exactly what he's gone ahead and done. He's got an 11-speed drivetrain from Shimano instead of going with like the newest, nicest 12-speed. And then he's got the RockShox Gold 35 RL fork. So it's still an air fork, but it's not like the full-on, RockShox Lyric or Fox 36 Factory or something like that. So it's a really dialed kind of budget build. And I think the way that he's gone ahead and kind of set the bike up to make it a bit more of an all-around bike. He says he lives in the Midwest where there's flatter trails.
Yeah, I mean, just from the first observation, like I like just the sleekness of it. The seat, I knew you liked the camel tires, but what type of tires are those?
Yeah, good question. I wrote those down. I wasn't familiar with the brand. They are Terravale Haunch. Yeah.
Never heard of it.
They look pretty fast rolling, like a little more maybe XC based tires. Probably wouldn't want to take them to anything super loose, but
yeah.
I'm sure it's fast. You can take that bike and have a lot of fun on a lot of trails.
Yeah.
So for me, it has to be Hold My Beer. I'm riding that bike. Caleb, I'm coming for your bike and I'm gonna take you for a ride.
Gotta go.
All right, next bike on the list is someone else that we know.
Okay.
Kind of. His name is Dwayne. We just met him. Dwayne Weaver. He's got a Salsa Bucksaw, and we met him out at the Madras East Hills. He not only subscribed, but sent in his bike to be in our first ranking video. So thank you, Dwayne. It was great meeting you. Hopefully we'll get to go on a ride in person again sometime soon. But his Salsa Bucksaw, it's 2016, so it's, coming up on 7 years old. It's about the age of your fuel right now, yeah. And so, with that, he's kind of done some stuff to keep it aligned to his riding style, what he wants to do with the bike. The coolest thing that I think he's done is he has a fat bike fork on it. And I noticed this immediately when I saw it at the trail, and I kind of knew, I was like, oh, that's cool. It's got like a second set of wheels, and that's exactly what he has. He's got 2 sets of wheels. One is a carbon fiber 27.5 inch kind of trail wheel set that he has on there. But then he's also got a fat bike wheel set that he uses in the winter. And that fork can clear up to a 4.5-inch tire. Okay. So here in Central Oregon, 3 months out of the year, there's snow covering most of the trails. And so you can take that out, or you can go to like cross-country ski trails. He can switch his wheels over, and he can turn this into a winter bike, and then summer comes back around, and it's his summer rig again.
So how does that affect it when it is the summer bike, and it's kind of, even though you have that big...
Yeah, that's a great question. I would guess that wider fork is going to be less stiff.
Okay.
He probably has to have some kind of axle adapter in there, because I'm guessing the hub on those fat bike wheels is wider than standard. So I'm sure there's some adapters going on, and by the looks of it, sorry if this is not true, Dwayne, it doesn't look like he's charging his bike and like hitting all the gnarliest lines on it. He's just going out for a ride and enjoying the scenery and cruising around. So where are we putting this thing?
Well, I think with some of the adjustments Dwayne's made, and the fact that he can convert it to a fat bike like that, just put on his different wheels, that's pretty cool. Like, this gotta be a nice niche.
Definitely. It's probably not a bike that I'm gonna be like dying to go out and ride, but yeah, sweet setup.
Right?
Yeah. All right, next bike is, I already have a feeling I know where it's gonna go, because it's a weird one. This dude didn't even put his name in. I don't know if he's embarrassed about his, no, he doesn't seem embarrassed. He seems pretty proud of his bike, actually. NMBR was his email. It's a 2018, I think. 2018 NS Surge. NS Surge is kind of like one of the few bikes left on the market that they describe as being a free ride hardtail. So this bike's designed essentially for going out and doing big tricks on a hardtail. You can run it from, on the website they say anywhere from 120 millimeter fork and be more like a dirt jumper, up to 160 millimeter fork and be more like big mountain free ride. But the craziest thing about this bike is what Number. We'll call him Number.
No, we should give him a name, like Norman
Wait,
Milton.
NMBR 43, maybe it's Norman Milton? We'll call him Norman.
Two names.
Craziest thing that Norman's done with this thing is what he's done with the fork. And I'm just gonna read you his description of what he's done. This is what he says. It's got a 180 millimeter travel fork. This is the most travel on any hardtail on the list. The fork was originally a 2016 RockShox Boxer. That's RockShox downhill fork. That I had its stanchions cut out and pressed into the crown of a 2011, the crown's the top piece, RockShox Domain, creating this 180 millimeter travel single crown RockShox Boxer.
That's some serious surgery.
I know. So he cut the bottom half of the fork out and then like added it to the top half of a different fork and added it to this bike.
Dang.
Yeah.
I like the creativity. I didn't even know you could do that.
I didn't either. It scares me a little bit. I don't know.
It's sick though.
It's a sick looking bike. He's got 200 millimeter rotors front and back, 23 millimeter rotors front and back. He says he plans on setting up the cable routing to do bar spins on it here in the new future. So you know he ain't playing around.
It's all blacked out. Like,
all murdered out.
To me, I feel like I would want to get on this bike. I've been interested in getting a little dirt jumper or something like that. This one is kind of in between. I totally ride this. Hold my beer.
Hold my beer. Okay, I like it. This is like if a full-on downhill bike and a dirt jumper had a kid. Like literally has a downhill.
Yeah.
It's insane. I like it. Nice job, Norman / number 43. Now
Tell us, Norman Milton, Brandon Russell, what your actual
name is. We appreciate it. We've got 2 more bikes.
Okay.
This is another person we know. It's also the second girl on this list. So thank you, ladies, for showing up. This is Jenny Gaddy. She's got a 2022 Yeti SB140. Look at it.
That's sick. Yep.
Cool. We've seen it in person.
We've seen it in person. I actually did not ride it. We met up in Joshua Tree. We actually first met at Snow Summit, and we realized that we both were living in vans at the time because we had like a Florida riding shirt, and we were in California.
Right. Yeah, just
remember that? And then met up again with them in our vans in Joshua Tree.
Did some riding there.
So I love the way, the Kashima on this.
I feel like we just have to look at it for a second.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
It's so beautiful. And it matches Jenny's personality. Some of these bikes I can't talk to you about that. Like maybe once we meet these people, it's like, yeah, that really.
It like matches her tattoo color scheme.
Right? Yes. She's tatted. She's a sick like traveling nurse. I mean, I love the rainbow spokes here.
Yeah.
That's
the oil slick kind of vibe going on. Same with her drivetrain.
Yeah. Everything is dialed.
Yeah, everything is dialed. It's got full Fox Factory fork, dropper post, shock. It's got i9 wheels, which are some of the best wheels on the market. SRAM X1 drivetrain. They have not held back on this bike.
No.
And the Yeti 140, SB140 is already a dialed bike. It's got a 65.5 degree head tube angle, which makes it, and this is, I should say, the lunch ride version. So Yeti has like the lunch ride version of some of their bikes, which are a bit more aggressive, a bit more travel, stuff like that. So I think that head tube angle with the 433 millimeter chainstay should make it a great bike that you can take on an enduro race, or like Jenny usually does, is like just take it on a nice trail ride. And it's not going to be so much bike that it's overwhelming. So.
Or some jumps. I mean, I've seen her hit some big jumps.
That's true. That's true. She's definitely got some she's logged some flight miles on this thing.
Yeah. Oh.
Where's it going?
It's got.
We just knew where it went. Like hold my beer.
Hold my beer.
Hold my tea, actually.
Yeah.
Well, the last bike is not carbon.
Okay.
Last bike is metal. The way I personally think all bikes should be. I'm biased. We're gonna go in here. Sess is from. I don't remember where he's from. I think the bike is from Indonesia. Yeah, so I don't know if Sess from Indonesia as well. It's a custom frame maker called Borneotrack. And I guess from what Seth told me, what Seth told me in the email, Borneotrack usually makes like road bikes and gravel bikes. This is their first kind of aggressive hardtail that he made. And living in Indonesia, Seth couldn't get like a bike with the geometry that he wanted there. So he just reached out to this company to have them make it for him.
Wow.
So he's actually gone through 2 versions of this frame. The first one started getting some denting and cracking early on, which Seth supposes was because, again, the bikes that Borneotrack had made in the past were more like road bikes, and so it used thinner tubing.
Okay.
But Borneotrack offers a lifetime warranty on those frames, so went ahead and rebuilt the entire frame. Just gave him a whole new frame, and he hasn't had any issues.
Those
with
small
his new frame.
companies, that's how you get that customer service.
It really is. We've had the opportunity to get to know Rip Cycles a little bit. Even RSD is a relatively small brand, and the customer service.
Can't beat it.
So this bike has got a 63.5 degree head tube angle. It's a nice, like, kind of raw aluminum color. I love that in bikes, that raw metal. Pretty sweet. It's got a 160 millimeter fork up front, so plenty aggressive. It definitely is what I would consider like an enduro hardtail. I think the thing that makes me a little wary is that he already had that first frame break. I think I would be thinking about that, like when I went and like took it off of a big feature.
A little in your head.
I would be worried, like, can my bike hold up to this?
Yeah.
That would freak me out a bit.
I love the accents of kind of that light blue, the
Yes.
Tiffany blue.
Yeah, that's true. The way he's built it up.
Yeah, the way it's built, because even with the raw frame, it still gives it this pop of color.
Yeah.
The tires look aggressive.
Yeah.
And again, with any muddy bike he's showing you, it's just like, it just seems like it's gonna be fun. It's like seeing a muddy Jeep or something.
True.
Like, I wish
That's
I just
true.
was where that guy was.
That is true.
You know? So I feel like you gotta invite us out to where you
Yes.
live, and we will come.
Just jungle riding.
Yeah, this is awesome.
I feel like this bike has to go nice and niche as well.
I feel like it is. It's definitely niche. It's definitely like.
And props to
unique
Sess for being like, hey, you know what? I live in a place that maybe doesn't have as much access to as many bikes as if you live in North America or Europe. So he just did the research, figured out what geometry he wanted on his frame, and found something to
Yeah,
build it.
that's pretty badass.
Yeah, so props, Sess. That's pretty rad. There we have it. 10 bikes.
10 bikes.
We're done.
We definitely have so many more in the email.
Yeah.
I am already like, I really want to do this.
Yeah.
So hopefully you guys all think the same and are intrigued by like what other bikes are people riding? What are they sending in? What are they doing that's unique and creative? As you can tell, like so many people aren't just like buying the bike from the shop and riding away with it and never changing a thing. It's taking a process and making it what you actually want for your style.
Yeah, so we'll go ahead. I'll put our email down in the description. So if you want to have your bike reviewed just like this, you can email that to us. Just make sure you send the year, the make, the model, and then any extra stuff that you've done with the bike.
We definitely want to see you ladies out there. We want to see a full spectrum. Like we said, we don't discriminate. So if it's a gravel bike, a road bike, a full squish, a hardtail, a dirt jumper, a BMX.
See it, yeah, BMX bike.
Right? Send those in. We're excited to review them.
And after you've done that, grab your bike, whether we reviewed it today or not. Go for a ride. After you finish your ride, send us some pictures about it.
Because we like the mud.
Yeah. And hopefully, we'll see you on the trail.